Good evening, everyone. It is now 6 o'clock on May the 16th, 2023. I'd like to welcome everyone to Richland County Council's regular session. This meeting will now come to order. Madam Clerk, take the roll, please.
Brenham.
Here.
Pugh.
Here.
McBride. Livingston.
Here.
Teratio.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
English.
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
And let the record reflect that Councilwoman McBride is in the building. I think she'll be down momentarily, but she is in the building. Next item on the agenda is item 2. Well, there she goes. Oh, you've already been recognized, Ms. McBride.
I don't know who I can blame for this one.
I've been blamed for a lot already today, so. But the invocation will be given by the Honorable Yvonne McBride. Councilwoman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am very honored and proud to introduce our speaker that will be given the invocation this evening. Her name is Miss Madison Wood. Is Miss Wood here? Okay, good. I would like to take a minute to tell you a little bit about Miss Madison. She's a senior at Westwood High School. She has a 3.91 GPA. She's a member of the National Honor Society, the National Society of High School Scholars, and the Beta Club. She's been accepted at 15 colleges and universities and has decided to attend Winthrop University this fall, and she will be majoring in dentistry. Her goal is to open her own pediatric dentist office in Richland County. Ms. Madison.
Hi, thank you so much. May we all bow our heads in prayer, please. Dear Lord, we come before you as humbly as we know how to say thank you for everything that you have done for us this far. I would like to thank you for this opportunity that you have blessed me with, dear Lord. I would like to also say thank you for all the amazing people who you have put into this community to help us better this community and do it for you in your name, to help keep people safe, to help keep people learning more and more each day. Dear Lord, I would like to say thank you for all of the blessings, great and small, the ones that you give to us each and every day, the ones that we don't even stop to say thank you for, the breath that you give us, the movement in our bodies and limbs, the different functions in our body that you allow us to have just so we can get to where we need to go. Dear Lord, as we are here, please allow us to be respectful of each other's opinions. Please allow us to make sure that our community stays safe and to make sure that we can also better the community for you, dear Lord God. Allow us all to return home safely to our different destinations as we leave when this meeting is over. In your name we do pray, amen. I would also like to thank all of you for helping us in sponsoring the Community Fellows. As you did say, when I leave, I do plan to come back because this community has had a major impact in my life, and it has also kept me safe. So thank you.
Ms. Madison. Mr. Chair, she's a member of the Coalition of Community Fellows, and this coalition was established several years ago thanks to the wisdom, the funding, and the support of Richland County Council and the Wiley Foundation, who was under the direction of Ms. Gwen Singletary. So thank you, Council. This is how your money is used. Wow. And this is the result when you invest in our youth. So thank you so much.
Wonderful.
And Ms. McBride,
Yes, sir.
You said that Ms. Madison is considering a career in dentistry, right?
Yes, sir.
After that prayer tonight, I don't know. I was thinking somewhere between seminary, mega church. Just put me on the board of trustees.
Okay.
Ms. McBride.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Next item on the agenda is item 4, presentation of proclamations. Is item 4A. It's a proclamation recognizing the United States National Lawn Tennis Association of South Carolina that will be given by the Honorable Gretchen Barron. Councilwoman Barron, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Communications is going to read the proclamation, but before they do so, I just want to also recognize our colleague who is a lifelong member of the Tennis Association, Mr. Branham. I didn't know that until today. So he will be joining me as a part of this proclamation. And also, little known fact, starting next month, I will start tennis lessons at the facility, at Park Lane that our ARPA funds went to rehab and to get it reopened. So just really wanted to lift up this as an opportunity for this organization to be spotlighted, because oftentimes in so many communities, especially in our minority communities, we don't see tennis as much as we should. So this organization has committed to doing just that. So at this time, I'll turn it over to the communications team.
Thank you. A proclamation recognizing the United States National Lawn Tennis Association of South Carolina.
Sorry. Whereas on May 21st, 1881, the United States National Lawn Tennis Association, known today as USTA, was founded in New York City, New York, to create rules and standards for the emerging game of lawn tennis. And whereas the USTA is the nonprofit national governing body for tennis in the United States, the largest tennis organization in the world, with over 550,000 members from every corner of the country, who leads the promotion and growth of the sport at every level of play, from beginners to professionals at the U.S. Open. And whereas USTA South Carolina is a state branch of the United States Tennis Association, one of 9 states in the USTA's southern section committed to improving lives by showcasing the importance of health, social, and educational benefits of tennis, making the sport available to everyone, regardless of age, environment, condition, or ability. And whereas USTA South Carolina, through its adaptive grants, has increased the accessibility of tennis for citizens of Richland County of all ages and abilities, contributing to making our community happier and healthier. And whereas USTA celebrates the month of May by encouraging players, organizations, facilities, retailers, tennis manufacturers, among others, to promote local programs and activities at parks and facilities, and to showcase tennis by sharing the word about the sport and its benefits, and to help players and non-players alike find courts and play opportunities in their communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Richland County Council members Gretchen Barron and Jason Branham recognize the USTA South Carolina for its contributions to the residents of Richland County, South Carolina, and do hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 as National Tennis Month.
Now, we have multiple resolutions this evening, along with the proclamation for the National Lawn Tennis Association. So what we're going to do is, once we've gone through all the proclamations and resolutions, we'll have you all come down. You can pose for the photo op with council members at the seal. And then if you wish, you have an opportunity to address the body as well. And then Mr. Wright just received a note from Councilman Pugh that we needed to amend the agenda to add a resolution recognizing Police Officers Week. However, we have not reached that part of the this evening's agenda where you make the motion. So would it be appropriate for Mr. Pugh to move for that now? Do we need to wait till we get to item 7, which is the adoption of the agenda?
Since it's to add to the resolution or proclamation, you can add it now and deal with the actually adopting the agenda at this point.
At this time, entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add a resolution recognizing Police Officers Week.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
And
Where would you put that?
it's going to appear as 5E. Yes, thank you, Mr. Livingston. Next item on the agenda is going to be the presentation of resolutions, and I guess in the interest of time and maybe to streamline on everything, I would entertain a motion to approve items 5A, B, C, D, and E, since these are resolutions that require a vote.
So moved.
Second.
Move to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right. Item 5A is a resolution recognizing May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and that will be read or given by, who's going to read that resolution? Thank you, Ms. Okay.
A resolution recognizing May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Whereas Richland County observes and commemorates May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and the contributions of the AAPI community to the diverse history and cultural fabric of Richland County, South Carolina. Whereas in 1977, Representative Frank Horton and Representative Norman Mineta introduced a resolution to the U.S. House of Representatives to proclaim the first 10 days of May as Asian Pacific Heritage Week. A month later, former U.S. Senators Daniel Inouye and Spark Matsunaga introduced a bill to the Senate supported by President Jimmy Carter in 1978 through a joint resolution. In 1992, President George H.W. Bush signed a bill passed by Congress extending the weekly celebration into a month. Whereas the Asian American and Pacific Islander community in Richland County makes up 3.2% of its population, including communities of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. Whereas the AAPI community has many languages, religions, and cultures tracing ancestry to regions in East, South, and Southeast Asia and Pacific Islands, including but not limited to the Philippines, Thailand, Korea, India, Cambodia, Vietnam, Guam, Samoa, Fiji, and more. Whereas Richland County is committed to creating a culture of inclusion and to continuing to foster an environment that celebrates diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We stand in solidarity with our AAPI community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Richland County Council recognizes the month of May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and recognizes the contributions and influence of Asian Americans and Pacific Islander Americans to the history, culture, and achievements in our county.
Next item on the agenda is item 5B. It's a resolution honoring Richland County Emergency Medical Service employees. That will be read by the Honorable Cheryl English. Councilwoman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution honoring Richland County Emergency Medical Services employees. Whereas emergency medical service professionals provide a vital public service to the citizens and visitors of Richland County, and whereas well-trained and highly qualified emergency medical professionals maintain a constant readiness, enabling them to respond quickly and effectively to those in need, as demonstrated during numerous disasters and daily emergencies. And whereas access to professional emergency medical service dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas Richland County's emergency medical service consists of more than 200 emergency medical technicians, paramedics, physicians, and administrators. And whereas County Emergency Medical Services is one of the busiest EMS systems in the state. And whereas May 21st through 27th, 2023 has been resolved National Emergency Medical Service Week. Now therefore be it resolved that Richland County Council members Jason Branham, Derek Pugh, Yvonne McBride, Paul Livingston, Allison Terratio, Don Weaver, Gretchen Barron, Overture Walker, Jessica Mackey, Cheryl English, and Shakise Newton do hereby recognize and honor all Richland County Emergency Medical Service employees for the many contributions and the dedication for caring to the fellow citizens suffering from sudden illness or traumatic injury on the 16th day of May, 2023.
Next item on the agenda is item 5C. It's a resolution honoring National Public Works Week, May 21st through the 27th, 2023. That will be given by the Honorable Jessica Mackey. Madam Vice Chair, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A proclamation honoring National Public Works Week, May 21st through 27th. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' daily lives, and the support of and understanding by an informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operations of public works services and programs such as engineering, local roads, stormwater management, solid waste management, recycling, beautification, general labor, and airport management. The health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities, infrastructure, and services. The quality and effectiveness of these facilities and infrastructures, as well as their planning, design, maintenance, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of local public work officials. The efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff the Public Works Department is heavily influenced by the people's attitudes and understanding of the work they perform. Now, therefore, Richland County Council proclaims the week of May 21st through May 27th, 2023, National Public Works Week. Richland County Council calls on all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the challenges involved in providing public works services and to recognize the contribution which the public works staff make each day to our health, safety, and comfort.
Next item on the agenda is item 5D. It's a resolution honoring Richland County Detention Center correctional officers, and that will be given by our PIO office. You recognize, Ms. O'Kay?
Thank you. A resolution honoring Richland County Detention Center correctional officers. Whereas Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center, the third largest detention center in South Carolina, is an essential part of the criminal justice system in Richland County. As such, the detention center is committed to providing its users and the citizens of Richland County with quality and efficient service. And whereas the Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center seeks to build a firm foundation by promoting accountability, professionalism, and transparency while providing quality service to the community. And whereas Richland County Council recognizes the resiliency of correctional officers and thanks them for their service in safeguarding the local citizens by providing secure confinement of juvenile and adult offenders within their custody. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on May 16th, 2023, Richland County Council does hereby recognize and honor all Richland County Detention Center correctional officers for their many contributions and the services they provide to the citizens of Richland County.
Next item on the agenda is item 5E. Just Police Officers Week, May 15th through the 21st, 2023. That will be read by our PIO office. And again, you recognize, Ms. O'Kane.
Thank you. A resolution honoring Police Officers Week, May 15th through the 21st, 2023. Whereas the men and women of Richland County law enforcement tirelessly dedicate their lives to protecting and serving our community. And whereas their unwavering commitment to maintaining law and order ensures the safety and security of our citizens. And whereas the selfless acts of bravery and courage exhibited by our law enforcement officers in the face of danger inspire admiration and gratitude among our residents. And whereas the sacrifices made by our police officers and their families who support them wholeheartedly deserve our utmost respect and appreciation. And whereas the observance of Police Officers Week provides an opportunity to honor the invaluable contributions of our law enforcement officers, both past and present. And whereas this week-long recognition serves as a reminder of the tremendous role that our police officers play in preserving peace, protecting our constitutional rights, and upholding justice. And whereas, by acknowledging Police Officers Week, we express our deepest gratitude for law enforcement officers' tireless service and the profound impact they have on our daily lives. Now, therefore, Richland County Council does hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2023, as Police Officers Week in Richland County. We encourage all residents, businesses, and community organizations to join Richland County Council in expressing sincere appreciation for our law enforcement officers' dedication, courage, and sacrifice. Let us honor their professionalism and commendable service, acknowledging the critical role they play in making our community a safer place.
All right, we're going to begin with the photo ops now. We're going to start with, I'm sorry. So, Ms. Page, come on down.
Good afternoon, or good evening, Council. I'm Linda Page, and I represent the United States Tennis Association here in South Carolina. We are about 15,000 strong in South Carolina, but we know that there are a lot more tennis players that are a part of our organization. Tennis is for everyone. It's never too late to get started. Councilman Gresham is a great example. This is National Tennis Month. May every year is National Tennis Month, and it's all about advocating for the sport that I love. I am on the board, I serve as secretary, and I'm an avid tennis player. I'm there every day if I could possibly be. So this month is about advocating for the sport. This morning, I had the opportunity to play tennis at North Springs Park. Well, those courts need help, as does Polo Road. So, council people, I'd love to invite you to do a walk around of all of the courts, because that's the only way that our children, people that look like me, have access to the sport. We're not members of private country clubs, so we need to keep our courts accessible. A big shout out goes to Councilwoman Gresham for the work that she did at Park Lane, bringing that back online. That's a beautiful facility, but that facility lacks programming. We have to have programming in order to get our kids out there. We have to have camps. We have to have activities that encourage. Tennis needs to be in the schools. It needs to be in elementary, high school. So this is the month that we get the opportunity to say, let's introduce that pathway to great college scholarships. is probably a greater probability than some of the other sports. So it's National Tennis Month. Thank you so much for the proclamation. We've been successful across the state in getting many of them. We will be back again next year. Thanks for recognizing. Hope to see you on the courts.
Next item on the agenda is item 5A. And so that's the resolution recognizing May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So if anyone's here for that resolution, make your way over to the county seal. It's right here.
Okay. Well, everyone, I had something written down because I like to prepare for these events, but I do want to say a big thank you to our council, our administration, and all of our distinguished guests. As an Asian American female, this is the first proclamation that we've had at the county for the AAPI community. And I'm nervous. And this really means the world to me in many ways because my community is often an invisible community, but we get the job done. We work hard, we love our families, and we love our community. And so I'm going to try not to cry, but being the first Asian American in my family to break through a lot of barriers, that's just my story, which is one story out of the many that are here today, where we have had glass ceilings that we have had to break through. And I have to say something because I don't know if my mom is tuning in right now, but 안녕하세요, 엄마, 감사합니다, which means thank you so much. I could not do this without my mom and her guidance in my life. Thank you, council. I love working here. I love Richland County. The Richland County family is amazing, hands down. So thank you so much, everyone. Okay.
Thank you, members of council, for this resolution. I know it means a lot to our men and women that are out there every day saving lives, so thank you very much.
I just want to, from Public Works, we just want to say thank you to the council, the administration, all the support we get with all the many decisions that have to be made. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Sorry, I brought my whole team. That's good. I brought my whole game with me.
You're good, sir. I'm sorry. That was not for you.
Council, I just for time's sake, just want to say thank you for all the support, yourselves as well as county administration, not only for tonight for the proclamation, but just support in general. So thank you again for everything, and we appreciate you all, and we're looking forward to putting Alvarez Glen on the map to be one of the best jails in the state.
Chairman Walker, Council, thank you very much for the opportunity to be in front of you tonight. On behalf of Sheriff Lott and all the law enforcement peace officers who serve this community, we thank you for the recognition. It's not lost on us the amount of support that you give us. So thank you so much, and we look forward to the rest of this budget year. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item 6, approval of the minutes from the regular session, May 2nd, 2023. Any changes, additions, or deletions to the minutes? You recognize Ms. Newton?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I just have a question for council that we can take up at another time. Within our minutes is information that was given to council during the comment period, and I don't know that we have rules addressing that, but the information was just provided with no context, and it just can get interesting if, as part of our minutes, we start putting in everything that we receive from the dais. So I'm not sure if it's appropriate for that information to be there, but regardless, I think that's something we might want to have a discussion about later.
All right, would you care to chime in? Asks a really good question.
Right, I think it depends on what the information is. Everything you receive doesn't necessarily have to be in the minutes, because the minutes is basically a summary of what happened. So that's something that can be looked at for the future.
Okay, all right. All right.
Then I guess I would move that we take that presentation out of these minutes as part of it, and then accept the rest as is.
I guess it'd be a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Yes.
All right.
Approve the minutes as agenda.
Second.
I'm sorry, minutes. Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Branham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston. Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 7, adoption of the agenda. Any changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda? There being none, entertain a motion to
Move to
adopt.
approve.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 8, report of the attorney for executive session items. 8A, clerk to counsel's office. Mr. Wright, does that item involve outside counsel?
It does not. It's pursuant to 30-4-70 subsection A1, but it does not have outside counsel.
Is that, if there's no, I guess, objection from the body, I would ask that we take that up later in the evening. Item 9, citizens' input. For items on the agenda not requiring a public hearing. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair.
Next item on the agenda is item 10, citizens' input must pertain to Richland County matters not on the agenda. Items for which a public hearing is required or a public hearing has been scheduled cannot be addressed at this time. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair.
Next item on the agenda is item 11, report of the county attorney. I'm sorry, report of the county administrator. Mr. Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of council, as I open up this information, I want to remind you that for the remainder of this week until Friday is the window for the motions related to the budget. So if you have motions that you intend to make as a part of that process, you've been asked to present that information. So we're just asking that you recall that window is through this Friday. And then looking at your agenda packet, I believe it's beginning on page 24. Some general information there. I just want to remind you, we do have a Development and Services Committee meeting coming up. At that meeting, they will hear directly from the chair of the Planning Commission the recommendations that they made concerning the Land Development Code. That information has been received, but there will be a presentation that will happen as a part of that meeting, and want to make sure that you all are aware of that. Also, if there's an opportunity that you want us to realize related to meetings in your particular districts, please continue to reach out to the team of administrative staff so that we could have those meetings in your area related to any of those recommendations that would have been received from the Planning Commission, just to make sure that we're vocalizing that throughout the community. Are there any questions related to that information before I move on to the next item, Mr. Chair?
Questions or comments from the body from Mr. Brown? All right, Mr. Brown, continue on.
You also have a couple of updates for capital projects that we have ongoing. And I'll just cover the timeline briefly. I won't go through all the details, but we wanted to just kind of show you what's been walked through up until this point. So you can see there related to a public safety center. There was a process where we did go through procurement. We did a request for proposal. LS3P was recommended and ultimately approved by council as the architect for this particular project. That's who's working on some of those designs for us. Following that, we had a request proposal for a project manager, roughly a construction manager at risk, which is basically the person that's going to help us see that project from the beginning to the completion of that project. That MBCOM was recommended and approved as the construction manager at risk. Again, that was all through the procurement process. There was an outreach effort for businesses that may be interested in working with this process for the Public Safety Center. MBCON was largely the driver of that. They worked with our Office of Small Business, and they worked through their own elements. And you can see there they had 40 vendors that attended as a part of their contractual commitment to diversity and inclusivity, which is all a part of that documentation that we have in there. They were looking to make sure they reached out to our local providers to give them opportunity to participate. On April 18, 2023, the drawings were released, which allowed us to proceed with the bid and procurement process. You can see there on May 1st, 2023, that was demolition began. You can see that we have Taylor Brothers, who's an OSBO certified business for us. They're doing trucking and debris. Carolina Cutting and Coring, again, who is going to be registered with our Office of Small Business. They were doing saw cutting. If you go on to page 25, you will see there was a second outreach that was done for subcontractors. And then from there, we talked about the timeline of hopeful construction. And so what you have there in that budget that you have listed on your packet is what we realize as a general strong cost estimate. This is done through that process. So what you have here is really a breakdown of what you can anticipate. So certainly you may address other funding opportunities, but this really gave you a good insight as to the funding that we thought you could anticipate on that project. And certainly what we talked about before is as we go through these projects, if there are other things that come out of this that the council decides they want to do or move in some direction, you at least have information to specifically work with as a part of this process. And then when I move on to talk about the Family Services Center, you will see the same thing. So the idea is that we go through this full process, bring you a complete packet of information, and then if there are modifications or changes which you decide you want to make to something, then you understand what we're looking at fundamentally in terms of cost estimates and any changes that your decisions may make. So when we bring this to you, that's not to say, again, no matter what you do, this is done. It's telling you that this is a completed packet of information. Here's what you can expect and anticipate, and any changes to that would affect some of these things. So just want to make sure that you don't take this as you approve something, it's done, and you're not going to have any additional input. That's not what this is. It's actually the opposite. It's you approve something, we walk through the full process, and as there additional processes come out, if there are changes that need to be made, then you have good information as to, again, what that looks like and how your decisions may affect cost estimates of the project in any shape, form, or fashion. So I'll pause there, Mr. Chair, with that particular update, and just see what general questions you all might have.
Questions or comments for Mr. Brown at this juncture of his update? You recognized Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brown, I had a constituent text me about 5:15 tonight. Apparently, I know we have some of our friends in the media here tonight. It apparently was reported on the local station that the locks at Alvin S. Glenn would take a year to get refitted. And I just want to make sure we're clear on that in case we all get questions tomorrow. It's not taking a year to do all the locks, is it? It's just, are they started now to change, or where are we on that part of the project? Not to put you on the spot, but
sure,
just so we're clear.
No, I definitely don't feel put on the spot. I do want to clarify some information if you can. So this particular project was talking about the Public Safety Center. in reference to an update on the locks, so two things happened. We did provide information in detail, both in committee meetings related to the detailed outline of the process for Willow locking system,
Right, I
the
remember that.
timeline from procurement to completion of the entire 18 units. And I believe it said you had a lead time where you procured the items in March, and then you expect to receive them in August, and then they begin going unit by unit. And so in that process, what we have to potentially consider is that those folks that are in those housing units, as we go unit by unit, they have to have a place to be. So we can't have a vendor, and the vendor doesn't have resources to go in there all at one time and do all the locks in the same day. So strategically, they'll do unit by unit. And that entire process, I believe, talked about moving from a timeline of August of 2023 and going into 2024, because there are 18 housing units that have to be addressed. And those units also have to have people we have to have folks moved from area to area. So we'll do it as we get each unit upfitted to do so. So that timeline was listed, and it did take several months. Absolutely, yes, sir.
So it's a safe thing to say, if we're asked, that it's beginning late summer and it's continuing through the fall and hopefully completion early '24?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
you could, and I would even say you could take it one step further in full transparency and detail. The actual timeline and details are actually listed on the county's website, in the county's packet. It was also presented to the Department of Corrections, and we've also voiced this information in now probably 6 meetings.
Okay.
So you can give those exact details. Absolutely, yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir.
That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So the second project is not as far along as the public safety complex. The Family Services Center was a project that you also approved. And so if you look at the timeline associated with that, MBCon hosted a county staff, project staff, and representatives from DSS, DHS, and DHEC came in council chambers. That started in 2023 in February. In that meeting, we had all those agency heads. So the head of those agencies wasn't just their staff. The agency heads were all here with us, sitting down with the architects and our construction manager at risk, understanding what their needs were for the facility. We communicated to them that the county council wanted to provide a future space for residents who need services. And we wanted to include them in that process to make sure that when we build out this infrastructure, that we were very cognizant of what all the needs were, in addition to what county council wanted to do. So from there, you can see in July 2023, we were talking about staff is planning on getting a cost estimate similar to what you had in a breakdown for the public safety complex. But you can see there also 2023 of March, a selective demolition notice to proceed was issued. And you can again see the timeline for the RFP for the design build of that Family Services Center. We're currently still working with our partner, which I call them a partner because Macy's owns one of the box stores. So when we walk through our process, we have to include them because they're one of the tenants. And so that process is also something that we have to consider, even though we have the other box stores. So just wanted to update you that these projects are moving to give you an indication of what you can expect to address and deal with. So when we get that cost estimate for the Family Services Center, you'll be presented with that. You will see what the drawings all entail, and if there are changes then that the council wants to make for some reason to add or modify in some shape, form, or fashion, you will then have a platform to understand what your changes would mean to the project. Also, later on this fall, we'll talk to you about the capital project funds that will be needed to obviously construct the Family Service Center and any other modifications to the Public Safety Center that we haven't considered. And I'll just kind of toss that out there because we talked about, for example, new housing for maybe that's not a good word, new placement for voter registrations and elections. So, and we talked about the Columbia Place Mall being an opportunity to address that need for facilities and storage. So that would be an opportunity for us to kind of get an idea of if we want to go ahead and move forward with that at the same time as well. So again, 2 projects, council approved, in motion, kind of the steps to where we are now. Want to provide you with that information. What questions do you have?
Mr. McBride, then Ms. Barron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can I direct this? Mr. Brown, we've discussed this before because you know how I feel about the Family Service Center. So based on our previous conversation, council will have the opportunity to provide input into the services that we would like to see there. And I didn't want us to get too far gone with the plan and then have council to come back and it will cause more problems in trying to make changes.
So I don't think it will cause more problems. I think one of the things we wanted to do was make sure we met the needs of the facilities. We got the input in general from that you all wanted us to move forward with the Family Services Center, but then ultimately you have to have something that you could touch and maybe feel and make a determination as to you know, what you will and will not include as a part of that process, or what you may add as a part of that process. So that won't be a harm, and we do have the architects here, and I'm sure they can speak as to whether or not it would be more harmful or helpful where you're involved in the process.
Thank you, because I did participate. I just showed up at the meeting with the partners, and they did give input, but you know, I still didn't say anything at that meeting because I didn't think it was appropriate at that time, believe it or not. So I didn't say anything. I didn't make any comments, but I would like some input, additional input on the facility. I have some ideas.
Mr. Chair, do you mind if I ask our representative from LS3P whether or not it would be helpful when they receive the information, if it will be an issue if after we present it, and if there are changes to be made, that would be an issue?
I don't mind.
Okay. If you would come to the podium, I believe it's a live mic. If you just give them your name, tell them who you're with, and then if we can address that, I'd appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mary Beth Branham, and I'm the principal in charge in LS3P, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight. Ms. McBride, we would absolutely love your input, and any of the other council members. We're getting ready to work with Ms. Lori Thomas on setting up a meeting probably in the next few weeks. We have, you know, we all visited the facility that we designed in Charleston, which was a great help in looking at the spaces that were there. And so we've taken that information, and of course, we have a real box that we're putting all of these spaces into, as you know, when we were talking to all the groups about how much space they needed. We have taken all that from that first meeting and put it in a detailed program, excuse me, a program. Now we are actually doing a test, what's called a test fit, which is basically squares of spaces that represent the square footages of the different areas to see how it fits on which floor. So we have got some ideas already on which floor the different departments will go on. And the first step for me may be, or for us, I would propose might be a high-level meeting before we get back with the users of each group. So that would be a perfect timing for y'all to see where we are, see the departments and how they're laid out. And then if you have changes then, before we go back into more detail with the departments themselves. So I'm very happy to make that happen if that's...
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that addressed some of the concerns. And the other concern was, I think it's always good to get input from the citizens that will be using the facility.
I think that's a great idea, too.
I don't know whether we got that input in the beginning.
So that may be a little premature, only in that we're trying to make sure it can fit in the box, so to speak. But we will need input from your departments on where the public needs to access and how the accessibility happens and who needs the most access to the public. And so we need that probably from them first. I'm not sure at what point getting the public involved, because what we're doing right now is just big picture for this exercise before you actually select your design build team. What we're trying to do is help provide you a good budget for will these spaces fit within this building, and then MBCon will be providing a cost estimate, much like Mr. Brown just described, that we provided for the 911.
Okay, that was one of my concerns about it. If we box it, we may box it too small, so that can be changed. That was when we said we box it, I'm looking at boxing this area, that area, but the boxes can be changed, and it can allow for light. I just know the facility needs light, and those are some of the concerns that I have.
Yes, ma'am. And we are showing windows on the perimeter where we can start introducing that natural light. It'll all be part of the cost estimate as well. Any other?
Strongly concur. Ms. Barron, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. McBride, for your leadership on this, okay? So the last thing that's listed in this summary was about request council for approval of obligation bonds in the fall. Of course, we're in the budget season now, so it looks as though we don't have estimates now to include, and this is a question, we don't have estimates now to include in what we're doing right now, and that is why you're going to come back to us in the fall with some estimates.
That's correct, and that was always part of the process. The bonding that we would anticipate does not affect the millage, the debt millage, so it won't affect the discussion, I believe, based off what we've generally talked about in our projections. We're not asking for any increases in the debt millage, so our debt capacity will allow us to do these projects. And I know you asked a shorter question, but if you recall, we went through a capital budgeting exercise where these things were included, and it shows that we would have the capacity within our current 8% debt limit to do these projects. So this was always part of the process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When that high-level meeting occurs, I think it's important that we bring in some of the entities such as the Sheriff's Department and other entities that will help us service the families at that Family Service Center. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Pugh. Questions from All right, Mr. Brown, continue on.
Okay, the last couple of items, you have seen these items before, but they're back before you as an administrator's nomination because, again, as our process, we get permission from you to seek applications, to seek grant funds, and then once we are awarded those by the agency, we actually come back to you again and ask for authorization to then accept them and use them. So the projects that you have represent, again, items that have been before you a couple different times, but again, from our process, we're back before you simply asking that now you authorize the staff to accept the grant funding and then utilize it for these projects as you have already approved the projects before. So that is a request, Mr. Chair, for approval.
Tracio?
I would just be prepared to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Quick question.
Properly second, so we're in discussion. Ms. Newton?
Enthusiastically support the grants. Just wondering on I think the Hickory Ridge grant requires a match. Does that come out of the utilities budget or the appropriate departmental budget?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Additional discussion.
My hand is raised, sorry.
Ms. Mackey.
Thank you. I did just want to take a moment to really point out again, thanks to staff, these grant fundings are really, really important to help us to continue to deliver quality services to our residents. And so I appreciate our staff staying on top of these type of opportunities and making sure that we're in positions to receive them because they really, really are. I mean, this is a substantial amount of money that we are receiving to be able to do some really needed work. So I want to make sure we're not glossing over this grant opportunity that we have received. So I'm definitely in support of it.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Any additional comments or questions? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report.
Next item on the agenda is item 12, report of the clerk of council. Madam Clerk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Walker. Just a reminder that the Public Works Office is going to be celebrating this whole week. And on May the 24th, you have been invited to attend their special event at noon, so check your calendars. And also for May the 25th, a special call meeting has been scheduled for the second reading of the budget. This is not a public hearing, it's just to do the second reading, so just to notify everyone. That concludes my report.
Questions for the clerk? All right, next item on the agenda is item 13, report of the chair. Chair does not have any announcements or updates for the body.
Mr. Chair,
You recognize Ms. Newton?
may I have a point of personal privilege?
Yes, ma'am, you may.
Sorry, I meant to mention this earlier, but for anyone listening, just a reminder that tomorrow, May 17th, there is a rezoning town hall for 2 requests for rezoning in District 11. It takes place at 6 p.m. at the Garners Ferry Road Adult Activity Center, and all are welcome. Thank you.
Newton. Item on the agenda is item 14, our open and closed public hearings. Item 14A, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and incentive agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Xerxes Corporation, a company previously identified as Project Armitage, to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits and other related matters. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair.
That public hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda, 15, approval of consent items. 15A, case number 22-019MA. Name of the applicant is Bill, I believe it's Theus. This is a request to change the zoning designation from Plan Development District to Plan Development District, location Wilson Boulevard. TMS number R14900-04-01. R14800-02-22, R14800-02-32, R14800-02-27, R14888-02-35, and R1400-02-29. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay. It's been moved to second. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Brown, do you know if this item would require reconsideration?
I believe the item does request it, yes, sir.
Move to reconsider. Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
No.
Teratio, Weaver,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Next item on the agenda is item 16, third reading items. 16A, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and incentive agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Xerxes Corporation, a company previously identified as Project Armitage, to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits and other related matters. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
So move to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
I entertain a motion for reconsideration.
So moved.
Second.
Move to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker?
No.
Mackey?
No.
English? Newton?
No.
Motion fails.
Item on the agenda is item 17, report of the Economic Development Committee. That will be given by the Honorable Paul Livingston. Councilman Livingston, you recognize.
Mr. Chair, item 17A, authorizing the joint development and creation of a multi-county park for Fairfield County for Scott Motors project, authorize execution and delivery of an agreement governing the multi-county park, authorizing the inclusion of certain property located in Richland County in the multi-county park. Now, this is a new multi-county industrial park being created as part of the Scott Motors project. This park will pretty much operate as other parks exist now. It just simply because of the special size and reimbursement credits, it needs to stand alone. Now, this is no different from some of our current parks. For example, other things we've done with like Cardinal Crossing here, Richland County, Richland Mall, and Fairfield, and VC Summer. It's just when the project is large, it'll end up getting its own industrial park. So the committee's recommendations for approval.
Heard the recommendation of the committee. Any questions or discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
McBride?
Yes.
Livingston?
Yes.
Teratio?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, that brings to item 17B, authorize execution and delivery of an amendment to fee in lieu of an ad valorem tax and special source revenue credit agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Mark Anthony Brewing, and an amendment to the additional project land purchase agreement by and between Richland County and Mark Anthony Brewing and other related matters. Mr. Chair, this is the first reading on an amendment to an existing 2020 fee in lieu of taxes regarding Mark Anthony Brewing. The amendment provides new incentives resulting from Mark Anthony Brewing investing an additional $94,820,000 above its commitment of some $400 million at that time, and creating an additional 100 new jobs as well, in addition to those. The committee's recommendations for approval so they can get credit for the additional investment.
Heard the recommendation of the committee. Any questions or discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
Livingston?
Yes.
Teratio?
Yes.
McBride?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Motion approved.
That completes the report.
Mr. Livingston. Next item on the agenda is 18, report of the Rules and Appointments Committee. That will be given by the Honorable Gretchen Barron. Councilwoman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Rules and appointment, we have several appointments to be made in the past. We've displayed all the applicants, and so just for ease, our clerk's office they have listed all of the appointments here. And so if it's okay, I'd like to just do them as one big blanket, and that would be, and I'll go ahead and just list them. 18A1, Accommodations Tax Committee. The committee is recommending April Morgan and Jasmine Farrell. I think I'm saying that right, Farrell? Farrier. Okay. Tomato, we'll go with it. I apologize if I'm messing your name up. And then our next appointment is for the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I just would like to say here, I'm sorry, I skipped one, for the Building Code Board of Appeal, and just want to say here for this one as well as for the Zoning Board of Appeals, anyone listening, we're having a very difficult time getting applicants. So when we do our next application, out there, if you're listening, please apply if you have an interest. And for this one, we are recommending Jesse Burke. And lastly, we're recommending for the Midlands Workforce Development Board. And the majority of these are incumbents. We have Fabian Zala and Bobby Cunningham, who is an incumbent for adult education, Michael Ray, incumbent for the private sector, and David Pregi, incumbent for career and technology education. This is the slate of recommendations that the Rules and Appointment Committee bring before the body for recommendation.
Aaron, you've heard the recommendation of the committee, or recommendations rather of the committee. Any questions or discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes?
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
This concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman Barron. Next item on the agenda is item 19, report of the Community Impact Grants Committee. That will be given by the Honorable Jessica Mackey. Madam Vice Chair, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to give my colleagues an update on where we stand. As a reminder, the committee and council previously voted on a funding amount for our Community Impact Grant Awards, and so that is included in our upcoming budget that we will vote on coming up. But the next phase of our committee was to establish the guidelines for an application and criteria for our Community Impact Grants. And so the committee met on last week, and we reviewed a draft application, and we also discussed additional criteria. And so wanted to give council an update for those that could not attend to let you know that we are moving forward. Our deadline for this application package to come before council is by May 31st. We want to be completed with it to bring it to the body. And so just really want to update and say if you have suggestions, thoughts, concerns, please be on the lookout for our next committee meeting that's happening on the 25th, where we will review all of the application as well as the criteria and finalize that to bring to council. And so would love any feedback now. We have many organizations that are waiting for us to be able to release this application. So thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Any questions or comments regarding the report from the Community Impact Grants Committee? There being none, all right, next item on the agenda is item 20, the report of the Coronavirus Ad Hoc Committee. That will be given by the Honorable Gretchen Barron. Councilwoman, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee met today, and we went through another round of applications. Just want to let the body know, as well as the general public know, that we are well on our way of making awards. Instead of making awards for all 16 million at one time, we are making them as we get them out of committee and bring them before the body and they're voted on. Then our staff, as well as our third-party vendor, are already going out and vetting and doing desk reviews and all to make sure that they're ready to move forward. One of the discussions that we had today in the committee is that we will start to share information with the general public to let them know that who the applicants are that have been awarded thus far, so that people will know. I know it's been a long time coming, and people have lots of questions about who's being funded and who's not gotten funded, and so we are going to go ahead and start releasing that information. And so the first order that we took place today was we had a discussion on senior assistance, and it's the recommendation of the committee for senior assistance to divide the money up the $1 million that we had, and to allocate, the motion is to allocate up to $500,000 to each organization that applied for that pot of money for senior assistance.
You've heard the recommendation of the committee. Any questions or discussion? All right. Ms. McBride, you have your hand up?
Yes, sir.
All right, you recognized.
With the senior, your motion is for us to provide that lump sum, because we don't know, you're not talking about, and you're not implying that we need to vote on the individual grants at this time.
So the individual grants, yes, ma'am, that's what we're doing. So senior assistants, the applicants that we received that made the desk review and the risk assessments were South Carolina Community Action Part. That's not the title of. Ms. Thomas, can you give me the specific names of the applications?
Recognize Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, ma'am. The groups that were recommended for funding were SC Uplift. This was senior assistants, correct? Yes. And SCACAPSC, Association of Community Action Partnerships.
So it's the recommendation of the committee that we would award up to $500,000 for those organizations. And I want to remind the body that these organizations have already gone through reviews, they've gone through risk assessments, and these are the organizations that have made, if you allow me to say, made the cut this far, and these are the only two that we have. And the pot of money was so very close to $1 million of the request, so it was of the committee's opinion that we would award up to $500,000 between the two organizations.
Additional discussion or questions? All right, there being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote. And this is with respect to item 20A1.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Well, hold on. Let me just stop you for.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Oh.
Ms. Barron.
Thank you. I'm recusing myself. Thank you for reminding me.
Has voted yet?
yes.
I'm assuming okay. May just want to say for the record, Ms. Barron, that you
Yes,
withdraw your
I am
vote.
recusing myself from this category.
We will make that note on the record. Okay.
Okay. Good. Clerk.
Thank you. Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Aaron, continue on.
Thank you. And the second category, we had some kind of conversation, and we ran into a little snag, and so we're bringing this entire category to the body to ask you to review this category and make recommendation. And the reason why we're asking that is that I have recused myself from this category, as well as Ms. Newton has recused herself from this category, which leaves only one committee member to be able to vote on this, and of course we can't do that. So what we'd like to do is to ask the entire council body to review the packet of unhoused persons and make a recommendation, and that is going, if you'll make a recommendation for that, so that we can make sure that we properly award this category.
Well, recognize Ms. Mackey.
All right, Mr. Chair, and Ms. Barron, were you still doing a report? I didn't want to step on you. Was that? Oh, okay. I guess I had a motion, if that's okay with you right now. In looking at the packet that was provided to us, there were several folks that applied, and that I believe, and please correct me, Ms. Barron, if I'm incorrect, but I believe we had more applicants request funding than the amount that is allotted in that specific category for unhoused persons.
That is correct.
Okay. So I had a few that I would like to make a motion for approval for based off of the funding request. The first would be the Alston Wilkes Society, up to their full amount requested. The second would be the Compass Community Development Corporation, up to the full amount requested. The third would be Mental Illness Recovery Center, Inc., up to the full amount requested. The fourth would be Restoration 803, up to the full amount requested. And the fifth would be Eatings Help House, up to the full amount requested.
A second?
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? Ms. Newton, you recognize, and after Ms. Newton, Mr. Weaver.
Ms. Mackey, I'm pulling out my big binder, but do you happen to know the math on all of your, okay. I didn't see that there.
Do I know the total amount? No.
Yes.
But it is below the amount that is assigned to
And that
this
was the
category.
real question. Thank
Yes.
you.
Any additional discussion? You recognize Ms. Barron?
I think Mr. Weaver had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Weaver, my apologies.
I probably should know this, but where again is the $2,094,000 coming from? This is ARPA money or this is just county money?
This is complete ARPA money. This is the COVID committee that has dealt with the ARPA money, the $16 million that was set aside that we as a body agreed upon, and we selected these categories. And so these organizations applied for the category of funding that was tied to unhoused persons. And so they went through an extensive review process by an outside third party. These are the rankings along with the dollar amount requested, and we now need to make a decision to spend the ARPA money that the president has given
Thank you for bringing
us.
me up to speed, Madam Vice Chair.
Anytime, anytime.
Additional questions or, Ms. Barron?
Yes, so thank you to Ms. Mackey for being.
Ms. Barron, let me.
Yes.
It's my understanding that Ms. Barrett and Ms. Newton have recused themselves, so they shouldn't be participating in the discussion.
I can't.
Not for unhoused persons.
Okay.
No, hold on, then this is a point of order. I think I seconded Ms. Mackey's motion for discussion. Should I?
You did.
You did it. Derek did.
Okay, good. Sorry, thank you.
No.
You raised your hand and asked a question before it could get seconded, but Mr. Pugh had seconded the motion. Okay. Mr. Livingston.
Ms. Mack,
Well,
but can you cite those again?
Yes, sir. Austin Wilkes Society, and it's on the page now, so we can, Austin Wilkes Society, up to the full amount requested. The Compass Community Development Corporation, up to the full amount requested. Restoration 803, up to the full amount requested. Eatings Help House, up to the full amount requested. And the Mental Illness Recovery Center Incorporated, up to the full amount requested.
Newton, you had your hand raised, but I believe Mr. Wright has already said is best for.
Ask him a question, but
Yes.
I changed my mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Ms. McBride.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I just want to make a statement that many of these projects I do support, and my vote will be no, even though much work has been done to improve the process. I had some concerns from the beginning with the process, and I know that things have been put in place to make it better, and I think that has happened. But based on what had taken place in the beginning, I still have major concerns about the overall process. So that is the reason that I will be voting no, not because of the particular projects.
Thank you, Ms. McBride. Any additional questions or comments? You recognize Mr. Livingston?
Where does that put us in the full amount of funding that was allocated for that area?
Ms. Thomas?
Mr. Chair, thank you. That's the items that Ms. Mackey actually listed come to 1.418950. There was an additional $200,000 that was allocated last year for transitions, which was also included in this. So if you take the 1.418950, and I accidentally cleared my calculator.
It's 1 point.
That's 1.618950. If I subtract that from the $2 million that was allocated, it's $381,050 below the allocation. So we are allocating within our within our budget.
All right. Any additional questions or discussion? You recognize Mr. Racio.
Thank you. And I just don't know if this has come out about the process yet, but when we have a situation like this where we've considered the applicants have come in under the allocated amount, then what? No? Okay.
Well, yeah, Ms. Barron, you're gonna, yeah. I know you would like to, I know, but the county attorney has said that it's best, since you're recused yourself, you are completely recused from discussion on this particular item.
Okay.
All right. So, Ms. Mackey.
I guess I want to clarify, Mr. Ratio, that in this category, it did not come under the amount. So we have received requests in excess of $2 million. So my motion was for less, but we received requests in excess of. Is that
Thank
okay?
you. Yes, and so it could be the committee's work to go in and perhaps consider other applicants, or perhaps make another, okay. No, I'm sorry.
I'm not on the committee, so I don't want to give my opinion.
Okay, then I will leave it for another time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Questions? So, all right, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Recused.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
I recuse myself.
Motion approved.
Ms. Barron, you are, I guess, now unrecused, and you may continue with the remainder of your report.
I tell you, boy, that's something else. That's a process. Yeah, so next, our next report is for updates, and just want to update as far as affordable housing is concerned. The committee brings forth a motion to authorize the county administrator to allocate up to $4 million in available funding for affordable housing in Richland County. That's our recommendation.
Heard the recommendation of the committee. Any questions or discussion? You recognize Ms. Mackey.
Thank you. And I apologize because I was not at the committee meeting that happened earlier today. I was traveling. But is there any other detail that can be given as related to staff and the affordable? Is there any program plan, or is staff coming back to us with a plan, or what happens?
So this is just merely an authorization of the funds. As far as how, as far as programmatically, that is a second tier that we will take up. But because we are in the budget season, we need to make sure that we have authorized these funds to be a part of that process. I would turn it over to Mr. Brown as well if there's something else you'd like to add.
Absolutely. As a part of the committee discussion, there was conversation about hearing from council members because the committee hasn't designated a specific method of affordable housing. There hasn't been a specific defining of what that means. So there was a conversation about council members communicating. You can do it through the clerk and just email the clerk and myself and give us your feedback. And so then what I will be doing is those external agencies that may be familiar with affordable housing, and however they're familiar with affordable housing, you can point them to me so that I can get feedback and information, utilize that to bring you different options that you might want to consider. But we already have the funding over here, and we won't be constrained by timelines associated with any particular pot of money. And that's why the funding we're asking separate from the mechanism. So that would be what we talked about. So we'd need to definitely hear back from members of council if there's again any agencies or persons associated with affordable housing that you believe would be good information tools for me, as me and my team then come back to you with options for what you might want to consider as a method when you decide to allocate those funds for any one of those programs or multiple programs. So that's, Ms. Mackey, what the conversation was about and why it was separated into two different distinct actions. One being asked for action tonight through the funding to secure that because of the timeliness. And separately, we have time to work on the affordable housing mechanism and what that may look like for members of council to ultimately decide.
Thank you. Just for clarification, I guess is for the committee. So to make sure we're on the same page and we're clear, as far as the affordable housing grants category, the committee recommends not funding any of the requested organizations, and that we then will develop, the county itself will then develop a program to address affordable housing. Is that ultimately what we're saying? We're not going to come back and review these applications later. At this point, that is the final decision or recommendation of the committee?
Yes, in part.
Okay.
So we will not award any of the applications that we received. And then the other portion of that is that we're not necessarily creating a program, but we are creating a method to fund.
And will all these folks be notified that now that it's closed, so they know this is it?
So a part of our process will be, as we are letting individuals know, as the process continues, those applicants that are not going to be funded will also be notified.
Additional questions or comments, Mr. Branham?
I just want to say I serve on the committee, and it's good work we're doing there. I'll be voting no on this, not because I don't support local government trying affordable housing initiatives, but just because of the way motion was structured as far as the funding of the $4 million.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. Additional questions or comments? Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brown, I've said this before, but I just want to read it in the record again, just so I'm clear. So we're not authorizing any new construction with this money. We're just allocating the $4 million, and it will be decided later how it's funded out. Am I saying that correctly?
You are saying that correctly.
Okay.
I'm not going to be taking any action that will not come back before this body as it relates to this particular pot of funding. That is correct. You are correct, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Barron?
Yeah, so to that point, I think it does lend to repeat what was repeated, what we stated in the committee, and that is these funds are just authorizing the staff to use available funding. It's not taking away from any entity that's already receiving funding. We're not increasing anything. This is available funding.
Additional questions or discussion? All right, there being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham?
No.
Pugh?
Yes.
McBride?
No.
Livingston?
Yes.
Ratio?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Mackey?
No?
English?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Ms. Barron.
And our last report, part of our report is desk reviews. Just want to update the body to let you all know that the desk reviews have begun, and we've gotten some already back. And so as I mentioned earlier, with the desk reviews, this helps us determine allowable costs. It also gives us, it's more of an audit, an internal audit that our staff and the third party are conducting so that we make sure that we're good stewards of funds. Mr. Brown, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, Madam Chair, on that report.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Barron. Ms. English, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I wanted to know if any items need.
Yes.
Yes.
Items need to be,
Both.
items 20A1,
One, B1,
only B1?
A1, and B1.
All right. Items A1 and B1 need to be reconsidered. Entertain a motion for reconsideration, items A1 and B1.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved to properly second. Any discussion?
Yes. So, Mr. Wright, should I recuse myself from reconsideration as well? Okay.
Well, for A, well, you only did it for A2, so this is not A2, so you wouldn't have to. Ms. Barron, on the other hand, for A1 would have to, but not for B1.
All right, let's just break them up. We're going to do them individually and make life a lot simpler. All right, so entertain a motion for reconsideration on item 20A1.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham?
No.
Pugh?
No.
McBride?
Yes.
Livingston? Teratio?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Barron?
Hughes?
Walker?
No.
Mackey?
No.
English?
No.
Newton?
No.
Motion fails.
All right, entertain a motion for reconsideration on item 20A2.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham?
Yes.
Pugh?
No.
McBride?
Yes.
Livingston? Teratio?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Madam Clerk, let me stop you. Mr. Wright?
You said A2?
Right, this is A2. We doing it. Yeah, this is item 20A2 that's being reconsidered.
I thought you were doing A1 and B1.
No. We gonna do them individually because it was just way too chaotic.
All three?
Yeah, we doing them individually, as opposed to doing them at one fell swoop. Yeah.
Right.
It's so we've already had the first motion to reconsider for item 20A1, and whomever was supposed to recuse themselves, recused themselves. Now we on item 20A2, and again, there's been a recusal or two. And so then we'll get to item 20B1 when we get to it.
You can do all three. I thought the original motion just had two, though.
Mr. Wright, we're just going individually right
Okay.
there. Come on.
So
Yeah, this is-
can we start over?
Let's start the count. Then let's start the count over. 20A2, that's what's being reconsidered. Motion's already been made. It's already been seconded. And so we're in discussion, not discussion, we're vote. Take the vote, Madam Clerk. 20A2.
For reconsideration.
For reconsideration, yes, that's what we are. Reconsideration. I hope I'm clear.
Brenham?
No.
Pugh?
No.
McBride?
Yes.
Livingston? Teratio?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Barron? Walker?
No.
Mackey?
No.
English?
No.
Newton?
Recuse myself.
Motion fails.
All right, this is item 20B1. This, and again, reconsideration. I entertain a motion for reconsideration on item 20B1.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the.
Brenham?
Yes.
Pugh?
No.
McBride?
Yes.
Livingston? Teratio?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Barron?
No.
Walker?
No.
Mackey?
Yes.
English?
No.
Newton?
No.
Motion fails.
Mr. Brown, I believe you nodding to be recognized.
No, sir. I was
All
just
right.
smiling.
I know Mr. Livingston has been over here holding it for a while. And so after Mr. Livingston, then you'll be recognized, Ms. Mackey.
Now, this is not referenced into the items that we're talking about, right?
Ms. Mackey, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask Ms. Barron if she could state which remaining categories are left for the committee to take action on.
I do not have that in front of me, Ms. Mackey.
Does a member of staff have it?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Recognize, Mr.
Okay, we still have remaining consideration in nonprofits. While some have been awarded, there is still some remaining consideration there. Workforce training still is to be evaluated. Educational assistance. Food insecurity.
I have Councilman writing fever. Possible to
Sure.
tell that information?
I can. Okay.
Ms. Mackey wants it stated for the record, so please
Okay.
proceed.
Thank you. We still do have some left. I'll start over again, and I'll go slowly.
No,
In-
don't. Don't.
In nonprofit assistance.
Thank you.
Workforce training, educational assistance, food insecurity, youth and recreational services has still to be determined. And small businesses is still to be determined.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Mr. Livingston, you recognized.
And I just want to go back, and one thing I left out with economic development, just to remind my colleagues that we did get an update in the Economic Development Committee today regarding the public-private partnership initiative. You may recall that came out of a strategic plan with the county. We had a workshop, we talked about it, and in that workshop, we talked about engaging the private sector, getting some feedback, and there was a very diverse cross-section, group of private sector folks who I know were met with and got some feedback, and that'll be written up and compiled and given to each council member so you can have an idea of what of the private part.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Next item on the agenda, item 21, other items.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, you recognize Mr. Pugh.
I move for approval on item 21A and B.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes?
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes. Move to reconsider.
Second.
Madam Clerk, did you get a
Oh,
chance to say
sorry.
that the vote?
Motion approved.
Motion approved,
I felt it
okay.
in my heart.
That's okay. And Ms. Newton has moved for reconsideration. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No?
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No?
Motion fails.
Next item on the agenda is item 22, executive session, which takes us back to item 8A on our agenda, which is a clerk to council's office. I believe that would be a personnel matter, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct, Mr. Wright?
That's correct.
All right, this time I entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second?
Been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio,
Yes?
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, we're in executive session. Stay downstairs, folks. Let's get this going.
Mr. Chair.
Been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston. Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
The record reflect, we went into executive session pursuant to South Carolina Code 30-4-70 to discuss item 8A, clerk to council's office. That was a personnel matter. No action was taken, but instead we received information and legal advice. Next item on the agenda, 24, adjournment.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Moved to properly second. That is non-debatable. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
We are adjourned.
Special
All right, I got to get home.